Hey everyone, Andrew with Andrew's Air Cool Technology. Got some bad news and some good news. Bad news first. I've been doing testing on my test engine here, um, and in doing that, obviously I'm spinning this thing at high RPMs, etc., on this test engine, like I did for the first generation lightweight cooling fan. And 2 days ago, one of the fans flew apart on me. So just had shrapnel everywhere, lots of nice black dust as well, and totally unexpected. Now the forces acting on the fans, obviously even a steel fan that's not been welded at higher RPM will fly apart. Um, and I did this obviously with the first generation fan, and it worked fine. It passed all test flying colors, and this was doing fine until 2 days ago, and so it just flew apart, and I can't trust it in terms of selling it to anybody. Now there's multiple forces acting on the fan. Obviously, just inertial forces spinning the fan. The blades want to go out, right? That's relatively straightforward. The other forces is air coming in the inlet and directing out. The air pressure itself wants to pull the fan apart this way. So in the kind of XY direction, you have inertial forces. In the Z direction, according to if you kind of look at the fan, this way, it wants to pull essentially the inlet of the fan off the top of the blades. And that's kind of how it broke, is in the Z direction. And that kind of makes sense in that it's 3D printed. And 3D printed objects are stronger in the XY direction than they are in the Z direction. So as it layers on top, right, that's going to be your weakest layer. So, it could easily handle, RPMs up to, 6,000 or so, even 6,500. It really kind of flew apart in between 6,500 and 7,000 RPM. And this was after some runtime. So like I said before, in good conscience, I can't sell these. So there's not going to be essentially a lightweight cooling fan NG for stock fan shrouds, whether that's the doghouse fan shroud, so 71 and later, whether it's the early fan shrouds, because I have a version for early, and whether it's a Porsche 356. It's just not going to happen. It's not reliable enough to offer that to the public. So, and I've made a lot of these, and of course invested a lot of money in the equipment to make them. So, but based on understanding that, I wanted to do not just bail completely. I wanted to do some testing on the Evolution 2. The Evolution 2's geometry, you can see it back here. It's got the inlet on this side, inlet on the other side. Its geometry is much more compact. The blades are much shorter because it's a two-sided fan, and the overall geometry makes it stronger, generally speaking. So my theory was, hey, this thing should be able to take the RPMs 3D printed that the other one can't. The other one is a very tall fan. I made room through redesigning the mounting components and the backing plate, etc. It's got a very tall blade, and so relatively speaking, and so I think that's more inertia forces in the XY direction, and certainly as much air as it was moving, because the air pressure in the fan shroud was incredibly high, way above what the OEM fan can do, and I think it's just not strong enough being 3D printed. The material itself, I think, is plenty strong enough, but in the Z direction, with being 3D printed, so it's really more the manufacturing, issue. But obviously I looked at the specs of the materials in the Z direction as well, and it looked like it would be fine. But the thing just moves so much air, the pressure is just so high that it just flew apart at that RPM. So that's where we are, and kind of the maybe. So there's good news. This will work. So I can manufacture these, and it's likely that this is what I'll move to, is just selling the Evolution 2. I won't even be selling what I was calling the Evolution 1, because it'll have the same problem. That fan's even larger than the fan that I was, had in the doghouse fan shroud. So it moves, an unbelievable amount of air, but as well. But this is by far the game changer in terms of being able to move even more air and have it be reliable, stay together regardless of RPM levels. So that's really the key here, is this one. Having said all that, I sunk so much money into the development of the NG fan, the lightweight cooling fan NG, and the equipment and all of that, which would have easily paid for itself based on the demand, people putting in the back in stock requests instead of just looking at those figures, would have recouped all that money, probably within the first month, plus, and then had good profitable sales from that point forward anyway. So, but I'm about $25,000 in the hole right now, with really no way out. Don't really have enough money to finish the development of this and make the components. So, obviously, besides testing that the fan didn't fall apart and all that, I'm testing, linkage is fitting in there. Tested my oil cooler block off, worked perfect, no leaks at all. And so, generally speaking, this thing is really ready to go, but I don't have the money to finish the development, to print all the the fan has to be 3D printed, and this inlet piece has to be 3D printed. And I have some material to make some, so I could make a small number. So here's what I'm contemplating for you guys, and thank you basically for all the support, is I'm going to kind of hit pause on this business for right now. I'll probably, if things can work out, I have some things I can sell and some other things that I might get enough money to finish this development, and just make the payments on the debt that I have in the business. I'll probably just make minimum payments. Might be able to kind of dig my way out of this hole. And if I can do that, likely what I'll do is I'll put this on the, all the testing is really pretty much done. I've got some redesign on this just to make things fit better, and that's it. All the components work. The oil cooler block off is perfectly fine, works right out of the box. The inlet fits and everything. The pulleys all line up properly, etc. The shroud itself fits perfectly. I mean, it's like really, really easy to install because there's no doghouse, no oil cooler. You got to kind of shimmy it over. It doesn't require the fixed cooling flaps because of the way that I designed this. You can kind of see how well that fits. I mean, it fits really, really well. I have designed several coil mounts, and even I have an idle air controller on this. I have an idle air controller mount, and I'll likely just make those sheet metal parts with threaded insert with threaded threads, and essentially have them be weld on. So here's the model I'm proposing. You guys give me feedback if you think this will work for you guys. I'll probably do this product as a build to order product. So in other words, when you order it, I'll make one. Because that's probably all I can afford to do. If I try to make a whole bunch of these, and I just don't have the money to have an inventory, right? So that's what I'm thinking to do to kind of keep this business alive and afloat. This is really a game changer. I don't want to bail on this business. I really want to keep it going and keep it alive. And this is a game changer. The amount of air that this thing moves is amazing. 60+% more airflow than a doghouse, with the OEM fan. So cooling, virtually any engine combination, would be great. And the efficiency of this is excellent as well. And I still have some measurements to make on that to calculate the fan efficiency on this one. I've done it on some of the other ones. and my fan efficiency on the lightweight cooling fan NG was much better than OEM, which means the horsepower draw of the, if the thing would have stayed together, of the lightweight cooling fan NG would have been, the difference between that and OEM would have been virtually nothing, almost zero difference for the improvement in cooling. So that's where we are. Sorry about that, and I know there's been a lot of excitement. I was excited about it. I was about to release this stuff on that day. That evening, I would have probably opened up the sales of it because I just assumed those last few tests would just go just as well as all the other tests that I've done. So that's kind of where we are, and that's kind of what I think I'll end up doing. We'll see what happens here, but I have all the equipment that I need, and if I do build to order, I can kind of pay as I go with this product. And I think I have enough spare materials right now to print off the kind of redesign things that I need to do here slightly different to make things fit just a little bit better. On the inlet, the fan is perfect, don't really have to change the fan, although I might make some subtle changes to it to strengthen that Z-axis even a little bit more, but it held together beautifully here today, so I'm very encouraged by that. So I was basically right that this geometry of this fan would allow it to hold together much better. So that's the good news, and hopefully I can I'll finish up the redesign, test fit everything of this, make some small changes even to the fan design itself to strengthen the Z-axis, which will be some fillets on the tops and bottoms of each blade. That actually, the reason they don't have fillets on the other fans that I've done is it actually reduces airflow. But this thing being so much higher than OEM to begin with, if I reduce the airflow by a few percent, it won't really matter. It'll still be a great product. So I think that's kind of where we are, and I really thank you guys for the support, and I'm sorry that essentially we ended up with a product that I really just can't sell anyone in good conscience. And I could have put these that I've made out there and sold them all, and kind of ripped you guys off, right? And everyone would be angry with me, and I won't have any business after that, right? So it just doesn't make sense to be dishonest, that's for sure, and it's not in me to be that way. So always going to be honest with you guys, and I appreciate all the business up to this date. The business was doing really well. I could go back to the original fan and make more of those, but again, don't have the money to actually do a production run of the original fan because I still own the molds and everything, and obviously it worked. It was loud, as you guys know, but it did work, and it did stay together once I got the new mounting system in place. But I made already, I have boxes here sitting in front of me, the new mounting system for these. Fortunately, this fan with the Evolution 2 uses all the exact same components that I made for lightweight cooling fan NG. So it's identical, it mounts the exact same way, which is awesome. So I'll be taking down the installation video that I made for lightweight cooling fan NG. A lot of people saw that, and I think that's ratcheted up the excitement because I was planning to release it. So thanks again, guys, for everything. Give me some feedback on this video. I'd really appreciate the build to order thing. It might be the only thing I can do, and if you can order and wait while I make them, and the price will be higher than I would like to be because I'm obviously not going to be able to make a big quantity of these things, and I'm probably going to have, before I even make the big thing here that'll cost some money that helps to make a bunch of is the oil cooler block off. That's probably the other thing. 3D printed, I can just print them one at a time, and the price doesn't really change for the 3D printing components in terms of my cost. It uses so much material, and that material cost and electricity to run the printer during the print is really all it is. So generally speaking, that stays the same. So build to order, that doesn't change. And of course the sheet metal components to make the shroud itself. I don't have to make very much of that before the discount is negligible in terms of going higher in volume. So I think I can squeeze in doing that, and I think I can squeeze in, and I definitely can do prints as needed with the 3D printed components. The only thing is having enough money to make enough of the oil cooler block-offs to get the price point reasonable. So the total system doesn't cost, a lot. Now, of course, comparing this to what people are spending on Porsche 911 style cooling systems, which this, I think, will blow those away. Much more efficient, probably in the neighborhood of 40. I'm guessing right now. I have to do some measurements, but I don't have the money to buy I was going to buy a Porsche 911 kit and actually do some measurements on it and actually calculate the efficiency of the fan. But my guess is this will be anywhere from 40 to 50% more efficient. So in terms of horsepower draw for cooling, that is better. Obviously, this actually has the directional vanes. The cooling goes to the right spots. The Porsche 911, style fan shrouds, they're just a big envelope. And air just loves to go in the path of least resistance. So regardless of what people say about those things, they're not the greatest in terms of keeping an engine cool. And I know a lot of people have had trouble with them. I know some people, have good success with them, and I know some really big engine builders that use them and have good success on theirs up to 200 horsepower without any problems. This engine is 230 horsepower, and I know you could run this on much higher horsepower engines and it'd be great. So I'm excited about this. We're going to just see what we can do in terms of keeping this business alive, and hopefully we'll keep it alive. Hopefully I can sell I got one big thing I can sell. It's a 66 Carmen Ghia that actually has some awesome parts on it. It's a project car that I had to stop working on a long time ago. Has a Berg 5-speed transmission, has Cool Ride's custom front and rear suspension, A-arm in the front, and with coilovers obviously, and it has their rear semi-trailing arm suspension with coilovers as well. That's all been done. Chassis is kind of mostly there, has their high-end master cylinder on it, the wheel wood, I have their Cool Ride custom 12-inch rotors and vented rotors in the front and 11-inch rotors in the back. I have Iozio 17-inch Fuchs wheels on it, which are awesome, and they're 7-inch wide and 8-inch wide in the back, and they fit in the body without rubbing and everything. So it's a really nice setup. The whole body is in epoxy, so paint it any color you want. Now the chassis I painted a purple. It's a beautiful color because I was doing this initially with my son. So anyway, if anyone's interested in that, contact me, because that's the thing I want to sell. And definitely if somebody's interested in a project car that they can take the rest of the way, I've got the original glass. It's an original pan car, 66. I might want to do a little more body work on the pan, but it's pretty straight. I think someone at some point drove over something and it kind of popped it up in the back a little bit. I flattened that out. You still got, you kind of see a ridge in it, but when I flatten it out, it actually it doesn't go boom 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 when you step on it anymore. Doesn't make any noises, so it seems solid. And that pan was actually quite solid. I don't think shouldn't have to be replaced or anything. But you could strip that purple paint off if you want to and start over in terms of paint color. But it would be unseen. And I have chassis stiffeners for it as well to run along the sides to stiffen up the chassis. It has the CAFR bar. It's geared properly for the wheel and tire combination. I have brand new summer performance tires and brand new winter tires for it as well. Obviously the tires and wheels are mounted and stuff on it But yeah, so that's kind of that. You know, it's got a, you know, and I've got a bunch of other parts that go with it as well. And I'd give, you know, obviously everything to whoever bought it, so they could finish up the car. I'd love to see that car finished up someday. So that's it, I guess. I think I've talked long enough, and I thank you guys again for all the support of my business here. Worked so hard on that lightweight cooling fan NG over a lot of months, more than a year, a lot more than a year, and a lot of testing, and all the testing was great until Wednesday. So it's unfortunate, but that's, you know, that's why I was doing the testing I was doing, just as the final double check to make sure everything is good, and then, you know, the thing ended up, you know, flying apart. So and I think fan to fan to fan, you know, some of them might fall apart, some of them might not, but it's just, if one does it, it does it, you know, it's just not, it's not good enough. So again, thanks guys, really appreciate it, and sorry about having to post this video, sorry about kind of where we are, and you know, give me any feedback that you can give me. If you're interested in that car, let me know. The faster I sell it. The body's off right now. I'll put the body on it, you know, and get it kind of, you know, so you can roll it around and get it moved. I'm in Colorado, of course, right? So you know, but I'll sell it to anybody, anywhere, of course, and so might be a trip for you. But I think you'd enjoy that car to finish it. So anyway, take care, guys, and I appreciate it again, and hopefully we'll keep this business afloat. Thanks. Bye-bye.